Well, hello there, good evening and welcome to Inside Line Racing. My name is Alex Lilliart and we're here at round 4 at the beautiful Baku City Circuit here in the heart of Azerbaijan. And this is going to be one hell of an interesting battle, not only in qualifying but the race as well. For the first time this season, these drivers, all 20 here tonight, we have one reserve in and I'll touch on that briefly, but this is a street circuit, which means there's not many runoff areas, there's concrete walls surrounding 100% of this track, and these drivers have got to go maximum attack and maximum concentration throughout this 18-minute qualifying session and the race as well. We may see a virtual safety car, we may see a safety car properly on track, we may also see a few drivers that are quite low down in the standings spring a surprise tonight and claim themselves a very high finishing order if some of these drivers inevitably do crash out. ILR3 this season has seen quite a high rate of DNFs, and I'll be expecting probably the same here tonight, although it would be fantastic to see a majority of these drivers actually complete the race. It's a circuit that's very challenging but also very rewarding to the drivers if they can nail that perfect qualifying lap, and it's going to take one of balls of steel for these guys, especially here EFC Matthew coming into this infamous castle section. You just see how narrow it is, and it really doesn't take much to pop one of those front wheels off on either the left or right hand side. But on this lap anyway, EFC Matthew has managed to successfully negotiate it. Virtually every single driver apart from Owen Wyatt and Ginger Andy are out on circuit. We've got one reserve driver tonight, Lego Minecraft. He's in the McLaren tonight to replace the main aspect, who to be honest would have been serving a qualifying ban after his reckless driving in China last week. I'm sure that will be moved over to the next event, which I believe will be Spain in a week's time. 2 lap times then, LMC Josh in the Red Bull coming on provisional pole with a 36.7, Lego in second place on a 37.6. Here comes EFC Matthew then, who we've watched for his first flying lap on the ultra soft tyres, and we'll see what he can do now. Can he get himself up there? He can into third place, a 38.5. Tough to handle, our championship leader, a 39.2 at the moment. Talking about championships then, like I said, Tough to Handle and Konzo, both of them very strong starts to this season, very consistent as well, as EFC Matthew just clips the outside wall of turn 2 and he will be back into the pit. So Tough to Handle with a first at Australia and then a 7th and a 4th at Bahrain and China sees him lead the Drivers' Championship on 43 points. His teammate Konzo just behind, who's at a 3rd, a 4th and a 5th in that order. He's in second place on 37. Then on 35 we have Flexi after his fantastic win, and we're watching him right now last week in China. And then 4th place Spaghetti Chips, a 2nd, a retirement and a 3rd, sees him in 4th place on 33, and then rounding out the top 5 EFC Matthew with an 8th, a 2nd and a 7th so far. Of the 3 reserve drivers, only one of them has scored points so far. That is Lego, who had the 3rd place at Bahrain, and he has 15 points, and he's here tonight currently up into second place. So a few drivers in the pits, most of them have managed to set lap times. McGee Showman, the slowest of the 14 that have done so, with a 39.2, but he's done his on the super soft tyres. So we'll jump on board with Flexi then. First 2 corners have been negotiated. You want to break about the 80 metre board here if you can for turn 3, the left-hander. The curbs here very unforgiving. A lot of them are raised quite high off the surface. You don't really want to go anywhere near them if you can, otherwise the rear wheels will spin up in the low traction. Through turn 4 then, moving over to the right-hand side, and then this left-hander as well. You can get a lot of understeer through here. You want to kind of be in the middle of a circuit for the right-hander here at turn 6 or 7, I believe it is. In a short burst along the straight, it tightens on entry into the braking zone. You can cut this a little bit, but you've got to be very careful how you do it. And now the infamous castle section. We've seen EFC Matthew negotiate this, and now it's Flexi's turn. He's done very well, and there's a car there that's pinged it into the wall. I believe that was Winky Marie's Red Bull, so he's crashed in the castle section already here in qualifying. And now up to the double very fast flat out left-handers here. Just clips the outside wall, no damage done though. And then again another difficult braking zone here. Stay away from the inside curb and the outside curb as well, because that wall will suck you in. And then now down here into the end of sector 2 into sector 3, the left-hander here again very understeery on entry and exit as well. And from here on to the end of the lap is completely flat out. He's negotiating a few slower cars that have managed to stay out of his way. Through the left, through the right, moving up the gears, moving up the speed. Paul McGuinness has a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. We'll ignore that. DRS now open for Flexi, and a driver in 3rd place in the championship for the Force India pink and white car moves up into 7th place. The quickest driver then so far on the super soft tyres. So then, who was it? Was it Paul McGuinness in 9th place? Yeah, he's been given a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, which is the first time I've seen this in an official qualifying session for ILR. And Paul McGuinness again picking up a second 5th place grid penalty for illegal blocking. Not too sure how, what, where, what and why he's managed to do that. So Paul McGuinness, I think, will probably now take no further part in qualifying. He's going to have a 10th place grid penalty for blocking twice. Not too, a confusing one there. I mean, it's difficult for the game to possibly judge what's going on and what is illegal blocking and what's not. Maybe he was given a blue flag because someone behind was in a quicker lap. I'm not too sure. But most of the drivers now coming back into the pits then. We're almost halfway through the qualifying session. 4 drivers still yet to set a competitive lap time. LMC Vettel in the Ferrari, Owen Wyatt in the Sauber, Lukey Luke in the Haas and Ginger Andy in the Force India. So it's LMC Josh in the Red Bull then, but still holds provisional pole, 7 tenths ahead of our reserve driver Lego, who's a further 5 tenths ahead of Rinky Marie, who has retired from the session, crashing at the Castle section. Then we have Bookster, Nigel, Konzo in the lead, Williams in 6th place, Flexi in 7th, EFC Matthew in 8th, Paul McGuinness in 9th, but he has a 10 place grid penalty, and Liam Robbo, who impressed massively last week in China by doing virtually the entire race on a set of medium tyres, and he rounds out the top 10, the Joker in 11th, just outside of it. So only a few drivers on the circuit. Flexi, we believe, is going to be coming in. Konzo as well is going slowly. We'll bring up the lap data so we know what's going on there. Sector 3 at the moment for Konzo. Not too sure if he's on an out lap. This isn't a flying lap by any means. And he's got another car behind him as well, I think. We're getting that nasty over-revving glitch, and it looks like then that Konzo is coming into the pits, actually. Flexi is already in as well. LMC Josh is out there. He's taking advantage then. As the track is relatively quiet, we've got a few drivers coming out again for their second of 3 planned runs. Some drivers will do 2 runs, some will do 3, depending on how soon they get out at the beginning of a session, because it takes a couple of minutes to get round, a couple of minutes to be flying that, and then a couple of minutes to get back in. So a good third of the qualifying session is taken up in one run. So you've basically got to get out, do your lap, get back in, quickly change over the tyres, make a few little adjustments if you can to the fuel and setup, and then get straight back out there again. Most of these drivers will be going for a free run in qualifying, but I think a few of them will be just sticking to the standard 2, giving themselves plenty of time to find some track space. So LMC Josh, our pole man at the moment, currently on his second flying lap, a 34.265 in Sector 1, as he now slowly comes up to the very daunting Castle section. Still 4 drivers yet to set a lap time, although LMC Vettel and Ginger Andy are out on circuit. On board then of LMC Josh, as he tackles the Castle section yet again. He's got a Ferrari ahead of him, who is on an out lap. He should move over to the left. He does, to allow him through. So good respectful driving by the majority of the drivers. Of course, if you're on a quick lap, you don't want people to be holding you up. So it's all love and fair, to be honest. You don't want to be holding people up because you don't want them to do it to you. So then coming down to a complete Sector 2. 34.265 apparently again in Sector 2. I don't think that's correct. But anyway, we're flashing through the left, right, flat as you like. Foot hard down on the pedal. Up through the gears, up through the speed. You'll hear a beep in a few seconds. There it is. DRS wide open. LMC Joshan 36.7, and he's missed out by just over a tenth of a second, so he has failed to improve on his lap time. Bookster in 4th place. He's now currently starting his flying lap. Nigel as well, I believe, is now coming up to start his flying lap as well. So some of these guys now out there for the second of 3 runs. EFC Matthew also out there, currently going very fast in Sector 1. Paul McGuinness in the pits, although I do believe he might be coming back out, or was that his teammate Lukey Luke? And Liam Robbo down in 11th place at the moment on the super soft tyres. So the top 7 so far then. I've brought up the graphic that shows the best lap time they've done, not what tyres they're currently running, so we can get a good indication of lap times in comparison between drivers on different sets of compounds available here. Flexi then the fastest so far in 8th place on the super soft tyres, but a majority of the field looking like they're going for the Purple Ultras. Another driver on the super softs is now Liam Robbo, although he has set his personal best so far on the Ultras, so obviously he probably thinks he can go a lot quicker on the super softs, and that's exactly why he's bolted them onto the car. 6.5 minutes left of the session then so far. Thank you very much so far to everyone tuning in. Game King coming in. A few comments then coming up early on. Game King, the Joker sucks tonight. Well, where is he at the moment? 14th place. Yeah, we were expecting him to be a bit quicker in this, as I think Liam Robbo has just completely fluffed up his lap coming up the castle section. He has, and backed off. Paga has come on and said, yep, like always. Paul McGuinness, I've just got a 10 place penalty for no reason. I'm done. Yep, there we go then. So I didn't think it was something new that the game had come in. I think he possibly picked up a blue flag, and for whatever reason the game has decided to give him a 10 place grid penalty. So Paul McGuinness, unfortunately, will probably be starting at the back unless he can pull off a blinder of a lap time. Please survive Baku, Paul. Hashtag free Paul coming in. And Waze Cooper coming in saying, I survived Baku for the first time ever. I had puncher, so my race was over. And Josh, please win Baku. So yeah, there's if Josh can pull off a win tonight, it'll be very nice to see. Get his season kick-started as Liam Robbo in 14th place comes back into the pits. He will get another opportunity to go back round then. LMC Vettel, Owen White still in the pits. Luke though is coming up to start his first flying lap, so we'll keep one eye on the Haas driver to see what he can do. Quite a few drivers out there at the moment. Lego, I believe, has just managed to go a little bit fast. We just called it there, but only by a couple of hundredths. Bookster now into third place, so he has done that flying lap. The Joker then, so I don't think he sucks anymore because he's just popped up into fourth place ahead of his teammate on the ultra soft tyres. So good performance so far by the Mercedes guys, who have had a very indifferent season so far. We've got yellow flags all around the circuit, but apart from Winky Marie and McGee Showman that have retired early, no one else so far has called an end to their session early. And Winky Marie was up in third place until he crashed. He's already down in sixth, and he's got a possibility of ending up outside the top 10. The Renault guys mixing it in with the Williams at the moment. EVR Matt in 8th, tough to handle 9th, EFC Matthew out on circuit in 10th place, Konzo down in 11th. All four of these drivers have looked very promising so far this season. The Renault guys see themselves as strong contenders for the Constructors' Championship, as do the Williams guys at the moment as well. And so far they are sandwiching each other, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. And just behind them is Flexi, our winner last time out in China. He's in 12th. And Liam, who was second in China, down in 14th. So we could have a few surprise drivers at the front of the grid tonight. Just 4 minutes left of the session, or just over 4 minutes I should say. Still waiting for LMC Vettel and Owen Wyatt to pop in their first lap times. Lukey Luke, I believe, is on a flying lap, so we'll just see how he's getting on at the moment then. He's got another car behind now. It could be his teammate in front of him, actually. It could be Paul McGuinness in front of him. Yeah, Paul McGuinness is in front of him there, yeah, giving his teammate a nice tyre. I think Paul McGuinness has pretty much given up on qualifying here, and he's just out there to help his teammate. Nice little tow there through Sector 3. So if Lukey Luke was quick in this session, and he's only moved up into 11th place, now moves over to allow his teammate through. So a nice little tow there between teammates, which is not uncommon to see. We'll see that at other circuits this season as well, most notably at Monza as well. Teammates have a habit of following each other out with a lap apart, so one can give a bit of slipstream to the other, and then he returns the favour on the second run. So the Haas guys doing it here at Baku, and that's promoted Lukey Luke on the super soft tyres, the quickest then on the super soft tyres, into 11th place. So not a bad lap actually. He's managed to out-qualify Konzo by 2 thousandths, who's on the ultra softs, but I think Konzo could go a few tenths quicker than that. So if we take McGee Showman out of the equation, fastest lap time is a 36.7, the slowest lap time is a 38.8, let's call it a 38.7 for argument's sake. 2 seconds separates the 16 drivers, as 20 Boy has retired from the session. Not too sure if he's binned it in the wall or if he's retired from the session. Unfortunately, unlike F1 2017, we could go to the cars that have retired to see what they've done. Unfortunately, as soon as they retire, we can no longer select them to spectate, which is a bit of a shame, because it would be nice to see how some of these guys do retire from the session. So LMC Josh coming out for his third run. Nigel in 5th place, he's also out there as well. Bookster coming out for his third run. I'll be expecting Lego momentarily to be coming out the pits as well. So the big boys then coming out now with just a couple of minutes left. You want to get out on circuit before the 2-minute window to give yourself plenty of time to get round. You don't want to come out right at the, let's say, 1 minute 40 or 45 marks. It means that for your out lap, you've got to absolutely put the pedal to the metal to get round in time. And of course, that adds a bit of extra tyre wear. It's a difficult thing to do here. Tyre strategy and race strategy really does play a part on F1 2018, but you want to be able to get round slow enough to minimise the tyre wear on the car, but quick enough to generate enough heat in both the tyres and the brakes. It's a fine art, and it's very tricky to do. Personally, I usually take it very easy in Sector 1 and Sector 2, and then go for glory in Sector 3. That's usually enough to get the tyre and brake temperatures up to speed for the final qualifying run. So the top 5, in fact the top 7, or top 8 out of the 7 still in this session, now out there for an out lap. Tough to handle apparently is on a flying lap at the moment, as he's just negotiating the final left right here, coming up to the line. He is on a flying lap then. So tough to handle, just coming over the DRS. You can see the letterbox opening on the rear wing on that Williams car. Coming up to the line at the moment. A 38.402 is his best so far. This looks a lot quicker, and he's done a 37.352, and our championship leader moves up into second place, but amazingly still 6 tenths, a massive 6 tenths off of our provisional pole man LMC Josh, who's held that provisional pole since the very start of this session. Everyone crossing the line now then is going to be starting their final lap. Bookster just coming across the line now. Where is the Joker in all this? He's sector 3. Nigel is already on his flying lap. Tough to handle, I believe he's just completed it, but he might go again. Josh as well, he's on his flying lap as well. So we keep an eye on these guys. Not too sure if anyone further down can spring a surprise. So LMC Josh in sector 2 at the moment. Tough to handle, I believe he's still carrying on for now. So Lego Minecraft then, he's coming round to start his flying lap. He should just about get across the line. LMC Vettel and Owen White have retired from the session without setting a lap time, so maybe they're deciding to start at the back of the grid, hopefully miss out a bit of damage in the first few corners. So Lego will probably be the final car across the line. So we'll come back up to Bookster. No, we can't to Josh then. He's now currently down into the final sector now then. We've got yellow flags in sector 2 for whatever reason. We'll jump on board with the pole man at the moment, who's held provisional pole for the entirety of this session. He's 6 tenths clear of Tough to Handle, 7 tenths clear of Lego. And is he going to be improving on his 36.769 to put pole position out of reach of anyone else behind? Coming up to the line now. DRS open, 33, 34, 35. I think he will. He does by a tenth and a half. It's a 36.614, and I don't think anyone is going to be able to beat that. Tough to Handle is coming into the pits. Lego is in sector 2. We'll get off board Bookster. We don't want to over revving, which is still an issue here. So the only Ferrari driver that's competed in qualifying, coming up in 4th place. A 37.562 is his best. Coming up to the line now. Can he get himself at least on the front row? He can. It's a 37.166, and Bookster moves up into 2nd place. And now we'll look at Joker. He's coming up to the line before Lego. A few other drivers out there still yet to complete their lap. Joker down in 6th place at the moment. Konzo's moved up to 5th, and the Joker stays in 6th. We've got Lego, he's still a few seconds away from completing. How are the Renault boys doing? EVR Matt, he moves up into 6th place. EFC Matthew currently down in 12th. Can he do anything? He remains in 12th place. We'll come back to Lego, then the McLaren driver, the reserve driver, one of the 3 competing in ILR3. He was 2nd place for the majority of his qualifying session, bumped down to 4th. Can he get it back up into the front row of the grid? Coming up to the line now, he can. 2nd place, but only the 2nd driver to pump in a 1 minute 36. It's a 36.979. Ginger Andy then, he's left it late to complete his qualifying run, and he has backed off. He's going slowly, so he's going to be coming into the pits or crossing the line, and that is the qualifying session over there. LMC Josh, a fantastic pole position by 3.5 tenths from our reserve driver Lego. Bookster and our championship leader Tough to Handle in 4th place, backed up by his teammate Konzo in 5th. So there we go then. LMC Josh on pole position ahead of Lego, Bookster, Tough to Handle and Konzo. EVR Matt popped up into 6th place towards the end of the season. Session, I should say. Wazzy in 7th for Joker in a Mercedes in 8th place. Flexi and Nigel complete the top 10. Rinky Marie, after crashing out early on, has ended the session in 11th place, just ahead of Liam Robbo. Then we have EFC Matthew, Luke, 20 Boy, Paul McGuinness, who will be starting at the back of the grid, and McGee Showman. Ginger Andy in 18th, and 2 drivers who failed to set a lap time, LMC Vettel and Owen White. I'm going to take a quick break, but do stay tuned, and I'll be back with you guys halfway round the formation lap. So the drivers now starting their formation lap. Lego and Boogster have had an instant, have been reset to the grid, as have LMC Vettel and Owen White as well towards the back as well. And it seems every formation lap we do in ILR3, sometimes one or two people can never keep it clean. One thing to say then before the action gets underway, we've got 20 people watching the ILR3 stream at the moment, so thank you very much for your continued support. Of course, if you want to switch over to ILR4 at any time to listen to Jess commentate on a tier just below, then please do so. It's also running on the Inside Line Racing League YouTube channel. We run at the same time, as do 5 and 6 a couple of hours before, so do feel free to switch between the two streams if you so please. So LMC Josh on pole position then. Paul McGuinness has just come onto the stream to say last to first challenge, and I eagerly await to see how that plays out. So then we'll bring up the tyres, see what everyone has chosen. So the top 10, of course, locked in to the tyres they set their best qualifying lap on, and all 10 of those are on the ultra soft tyres. Then we have Rinky Marie and Liam Robbo, 11th and 12th. They've gone for the hardest of the 3 available compounds available to the drivers. That's the soft tyres. They can go very far into the race, but they don't provide the maximum amount of speed and grip. EFC Matthew, Lukey Luke, 20 Boy and McGee Showman in 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th have gone for the mid-range compound, the Redwalled super soft tyres. Then we have Ginger Andy in 17th and LMC Vettel in 18th. They've gone for the softs. And on the back row of the grid we have the Sauber of Owen Wyatt and the Haas of Paul McGuinness. They've both gone for the super soft tyres. So LMC Josh then just bringing the field round now. I think they are spread out quite a bit. Paul McGuinness is certainly taking his time to get round to the grid, but he will be there eventually. So strategy tonight for these guys, if they can keep it clean and if we don't get a virtual safety car or a safety car. Some of these drivers should be looking at the one-stop strategy, certainly those all starting outside the top 10. For those on the ultra soft tyres, it might be a struggle to do the one-stop here, going from the ultras to the softs. I've seen it done, but it is very, very difficult to do. So I think there might be a mix of 1 and 2 stop strategies here inside the top 10. But the first thing that these guys have got to concentrate on is not when they're going to be pitting for the first time. It's surviving the first lap here. Expect contact in turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3 as well, and don't be surprised if someone absolutely creams it into the wall at lap 1 in the castle section. Hopefully all 20 drivers can have a clean first lap here. It'll be disappointing to see most of the field retire in a lap 1 incident. We've had it before this season already, and it'll be a shame if we have it here tonight as well. So just waiting for Paul McGuinness. He is on the grid, just waiting for the Force India ahead to get into position. So here we go then, round 4 at Baku. This is going to be the first real test for these guys this season. LMC Josh on the left, Lego on the right. The 5 lights are on now, and away they go now. The driver's light away from the grid. And into turn 1 we come then. Lego has had a good start. Might be thinking about a move up the inside of Josh. It gives him a bit of a squeeze. We'll look further back as well. It's all kicking off in the midfield. There's a Force India off into the circuit as well. But the leaders have managed to get away. We've got a Mercedes and a Sauber making contact going into turn 2. There's damage and contact and carbon fibre and hopes and dreams sprayed all around the circuit at turn 2. But they're all thundering down the back straight now towards turn 3. They're 2, 3 wide in the midfield. Contact between a McLaren and a Mercedes as they all filter down. Flexi is immediately out the race. A dive bomb there from McGee Showman, who I believe has made up a handful of positions on Ricky Marie and everyone else behind as well. The Renaults are going into battle. Matt and Matthew, we've got the Joker, Ginger Andy back there as well. McGee Showman has a 5-second stop-go penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and several drivers further back as well have quite a bit of damage, I think, on the car. We'll come back to the leaders though. LMC Josh holds on to the lead. Lego in second. The Williams of Tough to Handle and Konzo third and fourth. Wazzy is up into 5th place. Nigel in 6th. Boogster has lost out. McGee Showman has a penalty, but he's up into 8th place at the moment, ahead of Rinky Marie. And then the Renaults of Matt and Matthew. Is everyone going to get through the castle section relatively okay? I think they are, but there's certainly a handful of drivers in the midfield and towards the back of the field that have significant front wing damage. We've already lost Flexi, so a massive shame for him. But Josh races away down the hill coming into sector 3 then. This will be the first test for these guys at the front. They need to break away a little bit because everyone's going to be behind, picking up the slipstream as well. No DRS until the beginning of lap 3. We have 2 DRS zones here. The first one is down the main straight as we saw in qualifying, and then the second one is between the long back straight between turns 2 and turns 3. It looks like we got Nigel and Boogster already side by side. The Renaults further back as well, looking very, very close. We'll jump on board with McGee Showman because I think he's about to be overtaken. No, he's okay. okay, but Rinky Marie there in 9th place is coming on to attack from Matt, and his teammate Matthew watches on as well. We've got Nigel and the Joker, both the Mercedes drivers in the pits early, as is the Toro Rosso of Liam Robbo and Vettel and Owen Wyatt. So a handful of drivers, like I said, picked up damage, and they're in to fix their front wings there. Double lock up there for Matthew, very close to hitting the back of his teammate. Don't want to be taking your teammate out this early in the race. There'll be no favours there. Flexi leaves the session. He'll be bitterly disappointed that his race lasted 2 seconds. Lukey Luke has also retired for whatever reason. But these two Renault guys look very feisty behind the soft shod Red Bull of Rinky Marie, who's going to be slow in the early laps here whilst he tries to get the hardest compound up to speed. McGee Showman will hopefully break away in 7th place, and then the top 6 all on the Ultras end. Bookster down in 6th place, Wazzy up into 5th, Konzo and Tough to Handle 4th and 3rd, and Lego in 2nd place. But it's still LMC Josh leading here halfway round lap 2. We'll bring up the position changes then, see who the big movers and shakers are. Lukey Luke and Flexi obviously losing out due to their retirements. The Joker lost out 10 positions. McGee Showman, I was right, he's made up 9 positions. Paul McGuinness up from the back of the field into 12th, so the first challenge is still very much on here. Ginger Andy as well, his countryman, has made up 6 positions. Tough to Handle and Konzo have made up 1. Bookster, of course, lost out big time at the start from 3rd down into 6th place. And it looks like then that the leaders are slowly starting to form their own gaps. There's well over a second between everyone. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. That could be for absolutely anyone at this stage. Just filtering through. Doesn't look like much is happening. LMC Josh sets the fastest lap of the race. We jump on board of EVR Matt here in 9th place. Up the inside of Rinky Marie. His teammate watches on. As Matt shows him, if you want to get past the Red Bull, this is one way to do it. Oh, big lock up there for Matthew again. Several drivers here not running with the ABS assist, and Matthew clearly one of them. So Matt's managed to get past. DRS is now active, as you can see. Rinky Marie has picked that up off the back of Matt, and at the same time Matthew's picking it off the back of Rinky Marie as well. So the midfield's still very close together, and up the inside goes Matthew then. Nice late move up the inside into turn 3. Rinky Marie saw him though, gave him the space and allowed Renault through. Vettel has pulled into the pits and immediately retired from the race as well. So I'm sure that he probably picked up damage yet again, and had to make 2 pit stops in 2 laps. We've lost 3 drivers here early on, which is a bit better than what I was probably expecting, to be honest. As you just filter down the midfield here, Nigel, Liam Robbo as well. They've obviously made pit stops. Or Nigel and Liam Robbo made pit stops, as has Owen White and the Joker. So we've lost Vettel, Lukey Luke and Flexi here. And we haven't even completed 3 laps. LMC Josh converting that excellent pole position into a commanding lead at the moment, just a second ahead of Lego. So he's still carrying on here. We've got yellow flags in sector 1, not too sure who and what that's for. So Josh leads. Lego just over a second behind. That's galling for him. He's under a second now, so he might pick up DRS. We'll see if that rear wing opens. Finger on the button, possibly over the line. Finger on the button, so he's in DRS range. And these two are leaving the rest of the field alone at the moment. New fastest lap for Lego, 41.514. So these two now going into a nice little battle. Lego, of course, one of our 3 reserve drivers in ILR3. But he's already shown a very good pace this season, running at the front consistently in Australia before crashing. Podium in Bahrain as well. He didn't race in China, but he's here at round 4, replacing the main aspect, who's serving a ban for his dangerous driving last week. And we come back to Tough to Handle, who's been dropped behind now, 3.7 behind the leading 2, but he's got a good gap over his teammate Konzo, who in turn has a good gap over Bookster. But the Sauber of Wazzy, he's running high up in 6th place and not allowing him to escape. Oh, Paul McGuinness is out the race. The first challenge didn't end too long, did it? Let's have a look. Oh, he's hit the inside wall, I believe, into turn 3. So the first challenge lasted 4 laps here. We have a virtual safety car as well, which could give an opportunity for some of these guys to maybe make an early pit stop, depending on how long it lasts. But it is only lap 4. So we've lost 4 drivers then. Gazman coming onto the stream saying no carnage first corner like ILR5. Yeah, I did hear a few things that there was a bit of a... It was all kicked off in ILR5, unfortunately, and Paul McGuinness just coming in there to say, well, I'm not going to say what he said, but he's had enough, put it that way. And the Joker has also retired as well, so not too sure what's happened to the Joker. So we've lost 5 drivers then. This is a race of attrition, and I'm not too sure whether the Joker has creamed it into the wall or he's given up early on as well. Yellow flag still out here for the virtual safety car. And I believe we've gone green flag racing again. We've got yellow flags in sector 3, just circling through to see what that is. But we've gone green flag racing again. It looks like a majority of the field are all separated, and Josh is coming in then. Josh is the first one of the leaders on the ultra soft tyres to blink. Now, I'm not too sure. Is this too early? Is it too early? I mean, the VSC had just ended because it was green flags. And he's going to fall all the way down to possibly behind. I think he might come out ahead of Ginger Andy, to be honest. Yeah, he will come out in 10th place, just ahead of Ginger Andy. He's on a set of super soft tyres. And he's not stuck in traffic. But the closest car to him, ahead of him, is Rinky Marie, his own teammate, who's getting into battle with the Renaults again of EFC Matthew. Well, just EFC Matthew this time, because EVR Matt has disappeared. Oh, and I think Matthew's outbraked himself. He has. Matthew there outbraked himself going into turn 3. One too many lockups. He's flat spotted the tyres. He's going to have to reverse onto the circuit, making sure he doesn't pick up a penalty or disqualified for that. And Matthew's going to be bitterly disappointed then. He's outbroke himself into turn 3, leaves a cloud of tyre smoke behind as he guns the throttle away down into 12th place. And he'll be hammering his fist on his controller or wheel over that silly mistake. Might have been pressured into a mistake from the Red Bull of Rinky Marie, but we've seen a few times already on board with EFC Matthew that he has a tendency to lock up, sometimes even a double lock up as well, and I think he's been pushing the braking limits too far. And at this point he has outbroke himself into 3, and he's got to compose himself now, refocus on his race. There's still points to be had for all of these 15 drivers. But meanwhile, coming to complete lap 5 is the McLaren of Lego, who just brushes the outside wall there through the left-right in sector 3. Tough to handle, still dropping off. He's now 5 seconds behind the McLaren driver. Lego is carrying on. Konzo is now coming under attack from Bugster, who's got a slipstream and got the DRS as well. And now it's going to be a battle of the straight line speed. Konzo looks like he's running low wings here because Bugster is not exactly sailing past. But Konzo eventually gives up the battle. We've got McGee Showman and EVR Matt going into battle as well into turn 1. This is over 6th and 7th place. McGee Showman made a good start, but we know he's got a penalty to serve. EVR Matt ran the outside for turn 1. McGee Showman still there for turn 2. EVR Matt pulls in on him a little bit, but I think McGee Showman outbroke himself. I think EVR Matt left him enough space, to be honest. Certainly at least half the track width. And McGee Showman's just gone a bit too hot and heavy into turn 2. A little bit of contact has been made, and the McLaren driver retakes about 6th place. Meanwhile, further back, 20 Boy and Ginger Andy are duking it out for the final points position on the run down to turn 3. Is Ginger Andy thinking about a late move up the inside? He is. And 20 Boy got absolutely spooked by that. I don't know whether he saw the Force India alongside him, but he basically just jumped out of the way there to allow Ginger Andy through into 10th place. There's EFC Matthew, who's still recovering. And Rinky Marie there has been caught and now, I believe, allowed his teammate through. That's certainly not a passing opportunity. And I think Rinky Marie playing the long game here on them soft tyres. He knows his teammate is a lot quicker than him on pace tonight. He's got the quicker tyres, the fresher tyres. Don't hold your teammate up. Play the team game. Let him go. Focus on your own race. And now LMC Josh can get after EVR Matt, who's still close behind McGee Showman. We'll see how this one develops. We will quickly go to, if we can find him, there we go, Lego. Let's see if he's going to be pitting. He's not. It's tough to handle in 2nd place. He's losing a lot of time. In fact, everyone is losing a lot of time to Lego. It looks like LMC Josh and Lego are certainly the superstars of this race. Everyone is filtering through. Konzo is in note from 4th place. 2nd Williams on track, coming in off of those ultra soft tyres. As LMC Josh sets a new fastest lap on the super softs. And what tyres is he going on? Looks like he's going for the softs. And if that's the case, then Konzo is locking himself in to the one-stop strategy. Meanwhile, McGee Showman and EVR Matt still duking it out. Oh, we're duking it out. There's an instant there between 3 drivers. That was LMC Josh. LMC Josh, I believe, is involved now. He is. Our early race leader has come a cropper going 3 wide with McGee Showman and EVR Matt. And unfortunately, LMC Josh, and he's been given a 5-second stop-go penalty as well. And LMC Josh, I caught that instant late. They were side by side. I can't remember if anyone is at fault for that, but certainly you can go 3 wide down there, but it only takes a slight change of direction from one of those 3 drivers and you do have an instant. EVR Matt, I think, has relatively got away with it. No, he's got massive front left damage, so he will be in at the end of this lap. LMC Josh, I believe he has front and left damage. He does. And McGee Showman is hemorrhaging positions as well. So I believe he has a damaged front wing. He does as well. So I'm not too sure what's happened between all three of them. They were certainly three wide. And one of the cars has touched the other. And that's put all three of them into the wall. EVR Matt certainly got away with it better than the other two. But all three, EVR Matt in 6th, LMC Josh in 8th, who's already made his first pit stop from the lead. And McGee Showman in 12th have all got to pit to fix damage. And unfortunately, this race is now being handed over to Lego. He's 8.4 seconds as our race leader makes a pit stop. He's pulling away, but almost 2 seconds a lap over our championship leader who's coming into the pits, and he's been caught by Bookster in the Ferrari as well, so tough to handle. Oh, and Bookster's just tapped the back of him. He will not be happy with that, and damage his front wing as well. Is he going to fix it in this pit stop? I don't think he is. I think he was already selected, and no, he has. Luckily, Bookster can fix that in time. So it's all kicking off here with these guys. Rinky Marie on the soft tyres now leads. Lego has come out on the soft tyres, and he's our de facto race leader by a long way. Tough to handle coming out of the pits in 3rd place. Ginger Andy going long in this race in 4th. There's Konzo in 5th. He's already made his first pit stop up the inside, I believe. No, he's defending from EFC Matthew, and behind him he's got Wazzy and Nigel as well, and Bookster's just rejoining as well. So these guys very close on track. There's Matthew then in 6th place. In EVR Matt and LMC Josh. And Konzo's put it in the wall. I've just seen him run wide. We'll jump on board with Liam Robbo. You'll see a Williams on the right hand side. Another driver then. Another Scotsman here that's put it into the wall at turn 3. Wow, these guys are dropping like flies at the moment. EVR Matt has just made a pit stop to fix damage. 20 boys being in for the second time. LMC Josh as well. He's obviously being in. So these guys are now starting to fall by the wayside. We're down to 13 left out of the 20 that started. We're only on lap 8. And Rinky Marie then holds just a second lead. Well, I'll tell you what, if Rinky Marie and Lego now have an instant, I'm not going to say I want it, because I don't, but if these two have an instant that will force Lego back into the pits, well, this race could be absolutely anyone's. At the moment, all Lego's got to do is just keep it relatively quick and relatively clean, and he is going to win this race at a canter, because he is our de facto leader, 10.5 seconds ahead of Tough to Handle. Lego is almost 2 seconds a lap quicker than the Williams driver. As Rinky Marie carries on for another lap, and will Lego think about a move up the inside? He's got to keep it clean here, Lego. Don't rush it. You've got plenty of time, plenty of opportunity to pass this Red Bull, because that Red Bull has been on the soft tyres since the start of this race. And meanwhile, further back, it's all kicking off here down the straight. We're 3 wide, 4 wide, a million wide into turn 1. Who's going to win this battle? It's Ginger Andy up the inside of Wazzy and EFC Matthew, but I believe he's being squeezed out. He has damage on the front right, and the Mercedes and the Ferraris coming through as well. More contact here between the Sauber and the Renault as well. Are they all going to filter back into a line? Bookster in 7th, Bookster's in 6th, Nigel in 7th, Ginger Andy in 8th. We'll jump on board with the Force India. This will give us the best view of what could potentially happen down at turn 3. They've all managed to keep it relatively clean, to be honest. I know Ginger Andy has front wing damage. Late move up the inside of Nigel. Nigel would not have seen that. And meanwhile, these two are still fighting again over 7th and 8th. And 4th, 5th and 6th still very close together. Who's going to win this little battle is Nigel. Nigel reclaims and retains that 7th place, and this is allowing Liam Robbo to catch up as well. Bookster in 6th, Matthew in 5th place, up behind Wazzy, who I don't believe has made a pit stop yet. So Wazzy, Matthew, Bookster, Nigel, Ginger Andy, Liam Robbo, all of them through the castle section without incident. And these guys are very close on circuit, and it's difficult to really judge where to look at the moment. There's battles and incidents and crashes happening everywhere. We've got yellow flag in sector 2, so someone's hit the wall and caused a bit of damage to themselves. Not too sure who that is, but we'll stay with these guys for now. All 6 cars, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, all in the one shot. Meanwhile, at the front, Lego has passed Rinky Marie, which is to be expected. But I'm going to keep all my eyes on the battle here. We're on board with Bookster, who's going to get Slipstream and DOS from EFC Matthew, who's going to get Slipstream and DOS from Wazzy. Further back, we've got Nigel, Liam Robbo and Ginger Andy going into battle, but we'll stay with these guys for now then. We could have some more 3 wide action coming down into turn 1. We are almost very close. It's Wazzy of the inside line and Bookster. If Bookster's just driven around the outside of the pair of them, fantastic. And Wazzy and EFC Matthew have made contact, and Matthew's put it in the wall again. That's allowed Nigel in the Mercedes through as well. Ginger Andy has fallen back with that damaged front wing. So these guys are tripping over each other. There's going to be a few choice words, I think, in the instant report page after this race. I don't know if there's been any questionable driving or anything like that. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing and name calling. Certainly after that 3-car crash that we saw between the FC Matthew, LMC Josh and McGee Showman several laps ago. It might have been EVR Matt, actually. I can't tell between the two. It was one of the Renault drivers, that's for sure. So much has happened in the first 10 laps here. I can barely remember what's happened in the first 5 or 6. But what I can tell you is that Lego has made his one and only stop and now leads this race 1.3 seconds ahead of Rinky Murray, who's yet to make his one and only stop. Tough to Handle has made his one and only stop, I believe, unless he's on the super soft tyres. We'll bring up the tyres. He's on the soft tyres. So it's pit stops in Rinky Murray, EFC Matthew, Ginger Andy yet to make their first pit stop, so we'll keep an eye on them. So Lego Minecraft on the one-stop strategy, as is Tough to Handle. Bookster as well, Wazzy as well, he's on the one-stop strategy. Nigel, EFC Matthew and Liam Robbo in 6th, 7th and 8th, yet to make their first pit stop. In fact, I think Nigel and Liam may have pitted at the end of lap 1, so to find themselves in 6th and 8th at this stage of the race, not even half distance, just tells you that in a race of attrition like this, you should never throw in the towel early on. Nigel and Liam Robbo pitted at the end of lap 1, and now in lap 11 of 26 find himself in 6th and 8th place, and that could all change. EFC Matthews coming into the pits then, so he's coming off them super soft tyres, so that now promotes Liam Robbo into 7th place. And EFC Matthew, I believe, will be going on to the soft tyres. It will be the only logical choice. And he's having a front wing change as well, gives me a bit of an opportunity to enter. Read back some of the comments on here. Flexi resets my wheel and I have no brakes for the race. So there we go. Nice wheel and pedal failure for Flexi. Ends his race nice and early. Gazzaman, first time watching this tier. Great commentary, by the way. Thank you very much. Your support is always appreciated. And Waze Kuba saying, oh, come on, Paul, and no to Josh as well. Paul McGuinness, Waze, I'm about to lose it big time. This is really tough for me now. What do I need to do? You need to sort of go away, reevaluate, sort of see where you are, see what you're doing wrong. I mean, not necessarily blame other drivers, but maybe you're having instances of other drivers where, you know, in hindsight, you could probably look back and go, maybe it was the wrong time for me to make the move. Maybe I shouldn't have put my car in that position. Sometimes everything that you're involved in, and I'm not just pointing at Paul McGuinness here, I'm pointing at every other driver that gets involved in incidents week in, week out. Sometimes they're down to you, sometimes they're down to other drivers, but sometimes you have to go away and really evaluate your own racecraft and really look at where the mistakes are coming from. And if you could go back, let's say half a lap before that mistake, would you have done things differently? If the answer is yes, then you sort of have to go away and reevaluate how you're driving the car and putting yourself in a position where sometimes it's probably best to not be in. Sometimes a cheeky dive bomb up into turn 2 at Baku isn't really on the cards. You've got to think about the long game, especially at a track like this. We've lost 7 of the 20 drivers and we're only coming up to half distance at the moment. Very much a case of, if you survive, you may very well pick up points, and sometimes it's easier to play the long game and not drive so aggressive with other drivers. Of course, Paul McGuinness might be just getting into incidents with other drivers, I'm not too sure. It could be down to himself, it could be down to others, but sometimes you do lose, as we see a battle here between 20 Boy and Josh over 11th and 12th place, rather spirited at turn 1 and turn 2. But sometimes you do lose that confidence. Oh, and an instant between them, LMC Josh and 20 Boy yet again. And I think it was LMC Josh there on the outside who's had enough. He's had enough, and I can't blame him, unfortunately. I mean, I would have carried on, but yeah, unfortunately, LMC Josh is being involved in too many incidents tonight, and he's thinking to himself, what is the point? I think that incident, 20 Boy just didn't leave him enough space on the outside, squeezed him over to the wall, and then you get that ridiculous contact system where it sort of spins, half spins the car in front. You get stuck together, stuck against the wall, and you lose more and more time. But 20 Boy is certainly being in the wars tonight, as has EFC Matthew. So we're down to 12 drivers then. But Lego though still leads comfortably 5 seconds ahead of Rinky Marie, who's starting to lose time to Tough to Handle, which is expected. Rinky Marie has almost done half the race now on the soft tyres and has kept it relatively out of trouble. Our championship leader will be hoping he can be left alone in 3rd place. Bookster in 4th on the same strategy as Wazzy, and Owen White has retired from the race as well. Now we'll jump on board of 20 Boy. We'll see if we can see a Sauber somewhere in the walls. I'm guessing it's here on the right hand side. It is. He's taken too much curb, or he's outbraked himself and he's put it into the outside wall, and all of a sudden we're at half distance and we almost have just half the drivers left. I mean, I might get in touch with Paddy Power here and say how much money would I get for no drivers finishing this race, because we have yellow flags as well in sector 2, which is going to be somewhere back towards the end of the circuit. So we've got a battle here over what is now last place and the final championship point. As it's EFC Matthew and 20 Boy going into battle. And there's a Toro Rosso driver who's been trading paint with, I think, most of the field tonight. Now moves up into 10th place. Meanwhile, Ginger Andy has come in for his one and only pit stop, changing the front wing as well, which has been a common curse for most of these drivers tonight, and will rejoin in 11th place. But half distance, Lego leads 5.7 seconds ahead of Rinky Marie. Tough to handle in 3rd place. Bookster and Wazzy close together in 4th and 5th. Liam Robbo going long on the first stint in 6th place. EVR Matt in 7th, who's being in awards. Same for Nigel. EFC Matthew and 20 Boy still carrying on their spirited battle for 9th and 10th. And then propping up in last place, but certainly no means out of a chance of a few championship points, is the Force India of Ginger Andy. Well, it feels like this race has gone on for hours. There's so much going on. It's only lap 14 or 26. Hopefully now the field starts to calm down and we actually, you know, get some clean running from most of these guys. We've lost almost half the field now. And there's points available, good points available for all the drivers here. As our pole man and early race leader LMC Josh leaves the session. Very disappointed, I can imagine. 2 crashes. One along the back straight between turns 2 and turn 3 between 20 Boy and one of the Renaults. Not too sure which one it is, so I'm not going to point blame at this point. And then a second one with 20 Boy again at turn 2. Well, I believe 20 Boy is probably at fault for that, from my own perspective. Not leaving LMC Josh enough room on the outside for turn 2, and LMC Josh was rightfully still alongside, and 20 Boy has given him a bit of a squeeze, which has put LMC Josh into the wall, bounced off 20 Boy, and then he spun the car half round and both of them got stuck together for a few seconds. So 2 battles on track, although they're not really battles at the moment. It's between Bookster and Wazzy, the Ferrari and the Sauber in 4th and 5th place. And then this one down here between EFC Matthew and 20 Boy. And 20 Boy still holding on. They've exchanged positions a couple of times over the past few laps. We've got yellow flags in sector 2, and Ginger Andy has retired from the session. Ginger Andy was 16 seconds back, so I'm going to have a guess here and say he's lost there the same corner Owen White did a couple of laps ago. And now this is a clear indication for all of these drivers. If you finish the race, no matter how you finish, but if you finish, you will pick up World Championship points. So yeah, I can only guess then that Ginger Andy has put it in a wall. We'll jump on board with Lego. No, we won't, because he's got the over-revving glitch. And if his car is still on circuit, Ginger Andy I'm talking about, I would be surprised to see him on the outside wall here. As we come round, nope, the car's disappeared, but there were yellow flags, so I can only guess that the Force India of Ginger Andy has put it in the wall there in the last lap. And unfortunately, we are now down then, lap 15. Only took 15 laps to lose half the field. And again, the curse of ILR3 early retirement strikes in. The pre-season race several weeks ago at Abu Dhabi, we had an instant between the top 2 coming through turn 2 on lap 1, which wiped out almost half the field. And we also had a big crash at the start due to netcode and desync, in all fairness, on the run to turn 1 off the start line at Bahrain, which eliminated 4 or 5 drivers, and then a few others dropped out early on as well. And although I think lap 1, apart from Flexi retiring due to issues with his wheel and pedal set, it was relatively clean. A few bits of bumps and scrapes and a few bits of carbon fibre, and a handful of drivers had to make pit stops. But then really from about lap 3 to around about, well, now really we've been losing a driver probably every couple of laps. A few drivers have phoned in the towel early. I believe LMC Vettel had enough and retired. Possibly the same for the Joker. LMC Josh, certainly he had enough and retired. Ginger Andy and Owen White crashed. Konzo crashed on the exit of turn 3. So a few drivers have had enough of being involved in several incidents. Other drivers have legitimately, I should say, made a mistake and put it in the wall. This track is very forgiving for these drivers. The curbs are high, the runoff areas are low, and the pressure is always there. EFC Matthew and 20 Boy still having a spirited battle over 9th and 10th. This is now only, I should say, the only realistic battle on circuit at the moment. And they're certainly giving us something to watch in as EFC Matthew gets his Tokyo drift on going into turn 2. 20 Boy over to the left hand side, now moving into the middle. It's no harm in a few times here. I think they now call it an F1 sort of like the Verstappen rule, I believe it is. I think it's now being outlawed in actual F1 and possibly in ILR as well. They're looking at it where, you see there down the back straight, 20 Boys moving to the left and then back into the middle, then back to the left a little bit. That's fine because you're not really defending at that point. You're several car lengths ahead of the car behind. But when you're like this close, then you can't weave on the circuit. That is a big no-no. 20 Boy makes his intentions clear, moving to the middle of the circuit there. Just saying to Matthew, yeah, don't try it here up the inside. And there's no real way through here in the castle section as the Renault driver lights up the rear tyres there. Getting very close to the inside wall there. Through the right left as well. You can see Matthew there taking a slightly different line in most of his corners. Just making his black and yellow Bumblebee Renault here loom large in that beautiful Toro Rosso livery car. Meanwhile, Rinky Marie pits from second place for his one and only stop. He's kept himself out of trouble, running near the front and consistently as well. We'll see where he rejoins, but I just want to stay with this battle for now because I think EFC Matthew is actually a bit too close here. He wants to start closing up really just as he hits DRS. So you don't want to be too close behind. No, he's managed to be okay. You don't want to be too close behind going through the left-right because you've got to start lifting off the throttle a little bit. 20 Boys, you can see there, just moving left to right a little bit. Probably a bit too much at this point now. You literally can't weave left to right all the time like that. Just a few little movements here and there. But EFC Matthew stuck with him. But 20 Boys got nice top-end speed here. EFC Matthew only closed up just a couple of car lengths there. We've got a car just ahead as well. That's Liam Robbo going slowly. I believe he's just made a pit stop. That's why he's going slowly. So yeah, Rinky Marie rejoins in 5th place. Liam Robbo in 8th. Both on a fresh set of super soft tyres. Meanwhile, EFC Matthew now at the inside of 20 Boy into turn 3. And this time a bit of respect shown between them two. And 20 Boy keeps that 9th place for now. Liam Robbo, I believe, will be up to speed within the next half a lap on them super soft tyres. Down in 8th place, he'll be hoping for a few instants ahead to get himself over. Oh, 20 Boy getting his slide on as well in that very tricky left-right sequence. Very slightly off camber and very understeery through there as well. Another lock-up again from EFC Matthew. So his guys at the back of the field, albeit for 10th place, still pushing hard here. Lap 18 of 26. The laps are now starting to tumble down. As Lego decides he's so far out in front that he's decided to make a second pit stop. That might now hand the lead to Tough to Handle. It will. So then Lego has decided to go on a 2-stop strategy here as Rinky Marie with the DRS around the outside of Wazzy up into 4th place, and Rinky Marie here has got a very good chance of claiming a podium here because he's only 2.5 seconds away from Bookster. He's on a very used set of soft tyres. Lego then was either chomping through them soft tyres at a quicker rate than he liked, or he decided I'll pit for the super softs so I can guarantee myself getting to the end without any issues. Maybe he was bored as well and decided to make a second pit stop. I don't believe Lego is the kind of person to turn around and go, I was bored, I fancy the battle, because you don't really want to relinquish a 16-second lead here to the championship leader with 8 laps to go at Baku, because Tough to Handle won't make this easy for him. Granted, there's 2 good opportunities to overtake, turn 1 and turn 3 with the assistance of both Slipstream and DRS, but if Lego pitted just because he was bored, well, it's not something that you should really do. You should just focus on your own race at the front. and just bring the points home for 25 of them. But I think Lego actually probably eating through them soft tyres at a quicker rate than he liked. But he's now up behind Tough to Handle. Jump on board the McLaren driver then. Already nicely tucked underneath that Williams rear wing. Through the left right, he'll lose a little bit of front downforce through here, but still easy flat. And now will Tough to Handle defend. Staying to the racing line at the moment. 20 Boy has retired from the race though. Not too sure what's happened there. So we're down to 9. As Lego moves up the inside. And Tough to Handle doesn't put up too much of a fight. He knows about keeping that McLaren behind, who's being ultimately 2 seconds a lap quicker than him, and on the fresh set of super soft tyres. It was only going to be inevitable that Lego was going to make his way through. And now he's got 8 laps to go, including the one that these two are now on, for Lego to lock away the race win and the 25 points. But Tough to Handle, I don't think, will be overly disappointed. He might be disappointed with how off the pace he is compared to Lego, but still, a second place here will be a very good result. It will extend his championship lead as well over his teammate, who retired several laps ago on the outside of turn 3. Bookster in 3rd place now has Rinky Marie all over the back of him. 2.5 seconds has now gone in the blink of an eye. He's dropped Wazzy, as you can imagine. And now Rinky Marie, then, he's got to be odds on here for the next 7 or 8 laps to pass Bookster. And you never know. Tough to Handle's pace has been poor tonight, I think, by his standards. And Rinky Marie might be on definitely for 3rd place, possibly 2nd. And I think the best opportunity that the Red Bull driver has got is with the DRS coming over the start-finish line. He might try something earlier if he's brave. But I think he'll just hang back and allow it to happen. Meanwhile, Liam Robbo has now got EFC Matthew right behind him. So Liam Robbo pitted, and he's damaged his front wing quite heavily on the front right there. So that's why Liam Robbo has lost a couple of seconds in the last lap or two, because he rejoined a few seconds ahead of the battle between EFC Matthew and 20 Boy, which is now over because 20 Boy has retired, and his sister Toro Rosso is now struggling as well with a heavily damaged front right. He'll be understeering quite badly through here. He might even have to lift off just a little bit. And EFC Matthew then, I don't know whether he'll know he has front wing damage. You can probably tell at this point. And it should be an easy move for 8th place. Liam might just play safe and pit. Meanwhile, Rinky Marie has managed to pass Bookster. I've missed that, unfortunately. On to lap 20 of 26 then. So Lego has retaken the lead from Tough to Handle, and Rinky Marie has moved back up into the podium positions ahead of Bookster, who might fancy a move. A do or die attempt, a last opportunity he really had to claim back that podium, but I think he knows his tyres are well past their best, and he's fighting a driver that's been very quick in this race. And now on the super soft tyres as well. EFC Matthew then. So either the Toro Rossos, 20 Boy and now Liam Robbo, are running low downforce settings, or EFC Matthews just added a few more clicks to the rear wing, but for whatever reason, even with the DRS, he can't really seem to get close enough to try and overtake. Jump on board now with the Renault driver. Both Renaults still running, albeit down in 6th and 9th. I believe they're the only team out there that have both drivers still circulating round. You've got a McLaren, a Williams, a Red Bull, Ferrari, Sauber, Renault, Mercedes, Toro Rosso, Renault. So it looks like then that 8 of the 10 teams here are going to score. The only team that won't score will be Force India. Ginger Angie retired a few laps ago. Flexi retired on lap 1. And the Haas cars as well. Lukey Luke retired on lap 2. And Paul McGuinness only lasted, I think, 3 or 4 laps. So good points to be had in the constructors for 8 of the 10 teams. And good points as well for some of these drivers. Rinky Marie can really get his season on the go with this fantastic podium position. At the moment, he's struggled this season. 2 retirements and a DNS. Did not start at China. And he can get his season on the go with a fantastic 3rd place here at Baku. Tough to Handle as well, can extend his championship lead. And the way things stand at the moment, Lego will be up provisionally into 2nd place with the race win here. That will put him on 40 points. So Lego then, he'll be right up in the championship charge as well. Bookster as well in 4th place. He's currently in 6th in the championship. Finished all 3 races so far. And he's looking to pick up some more points here. Wazzy as well. He's had a slightly indifferent start to this season. Only 1 point to his name so far. He's looking to pick up another 10. Here comes EFC Matthew though with the DRS this time. He was a lot closer. Up the inside of Liam Robbo going into turn 1. Runs a little wide on the exit as well, but now makes the move stick for 8th place. I don't think Liam Robbo can come back at him now. He might have an opportunity with the DRS coming down into turn 3, and the EFC Matthew might need to defend. He's just moving over to the left hand side then. I don't think he's too close unless he tries a desperate do-or-die lunge up the inside. And again, a double lock-up from the Renault driver. But I think Matthew will now be away because of that heavily damaged front wing will be hurting Liam Robbo, certainly around Sector 2 and Sector 3. But there you go then, serenely on his way, completing lap 21 of 26. Tough to handle now, 7.5 seconds back. Rinky Marie, 4.7 seconds back. So we'll keep an eye on the gap between Tough to Handle and Rinky Marie to see if the Red Bull driver can close that gap in the last 5 laps here. Bookster running well in 4th place, keeping himself relatively out of trouble. Same for Wazzy. Him and Bookster were quite close in the middle part of this race, but for whatever reason, Wazzy is now 5.5 seconds back. EVR Matt as well, the gap between Wazzy and Matt is roughly staying the same. Nigel has had a quiet race. We haven't seen much of him, but he's still surviving, still circulating here in 7th place. And then there's a 13.5 second gap back to EFC Matthew, who still has Liam Robbo for company. And if Liam Robbo can somehow hold on to that damaged front wing and get a nice slipstream and the DRS, which he will pick up, then he may very well have an opportunity to maybe claim back that 8th place. But I think even this time EFC Matthew is too far ahead. We'll jump on board with Liam Robbo though, because he's got the DRS now, finger on the button. EFC Matthew doing to him what 20 Boy was doing to Matthew a few laps ago, just moving left to right. And now at the inside then into turn 1. Liam Robbo, I think, has outbraked himself a little bit, and Matthew will say, thank you very much, I'll swing back past underneath you into turn 2. A double lock up yet again by the Renault driver. DRS for the Toro Rosso driver, finger on the button, bleep in the ear. As Matthew defends the inside, now moves to the middle of a circuit. Liam Robbo says, okay, fair enough, I'll take the inside. You've opened the door for me there. Into turn 3, very tight, very respectful between the two of them. Liam has to be careful, of course, that car will be understeering. Oh, and he just blindly turns in there. And Matthew won't thank him for that, because he was still legitimately alongside. And the Toro Rosso drivers, their spatial awareness seems to be letting them down sometimes when a Renault is alongside them. Not the first time we've seen that tonight. So coming through then to complete lap 22, 4 laps to go then. Lego continues on his way. And Rinky Marie is out of the race. He's put it in the wall on the outside of the left-right chicane. And just as I was about to say, but Rinky Marie, possibly with the driver of the day vote, because he's been nowhere this season, has absolutely creamed it into the wall. And this will be a gift for Boogster. He's back into the podium spots. Wazzy in 4th, EVR Matt in 5th. Nigel moves up into 6th place, and Liam Robbo in EFC Matt will now be duking it over 7th and 8th. Oh, Rinky Marie, what have you done? You had 3rd place in the bag. I can only assume he's possibly, well, I think it was the front left that was off, so I think he's possibly either run too wide and clipped the outside wall, or he's clipped the inside wall for the right-hander, and that spat the car out into the outside wall. But whatever it is, he's out of 3rd. It leaves 8 of the 20 starters, and Liam Robbo and Matthew still going into battle over this 7th and 8th place. This is the only battle on circuit, and it's quite entertaining to watch. Just hope and pray they do keep it clean. 20 drivers started, 4 laps to go, and we're down to 8 runners left. So in Lego, unchallenged at the front, still continues to pull away from Tough to Handle at a rate of 2 seconds a lap. As EFC Matthew with a DRS closes in again of Liam Robbo, who's been very impressive actually with that badly damaged front wing. ILR Shadow saying WTF 8 people. Yeah, it's been your typical ILR3 crash fest, unfortunately. We lost. Oh, and EFC Matthew has run wide at turn 2 this time. So EFC Matthew and Liam Robbo's battle is now all over. Meanwhile, EVR Matt, his teammate, is starting to close up on Wazzy. So EFC Matthew has been in the wars tonight. He's had a few incidents. And he's outbroke himself twice now in this race. We've got yellow flags again in Sector 1. Oh, Matthew, come on. That's turn 3 now. Go on, outbreak yourself for turn 4. Give us something to laugh about. Nope, you've decided to drive correctly this time. Well, EFC Matthew's head is now completely gone. And he's just going to have to calm down. Just cruise around to pick up the 8th place. Meanwhile, Lego now starts his 25th of 26 laps. ILR 3 to 6 have had a disaster. Yeah, not too sure what's happened in 4, 5 and 6. I can only assume that the same has happened down there as well. I'm not too sure how many people are still running in ILR 4. Of course, you can go onto the stream if it's still running and check on that. 5 and 6, not too sure how many retired. If anyone's watching and they know how many people actually started and finished, do let us know, because I think ILR 3 is possibly going to challenge that. Yes, we lost Flexi, Luke, Vettel and the Joker in the first couple of laps. Paul McGuinness crashed out, I think, lap 3 or lap 4. McGee Showman a couple of laps later. Konzo crashed out turn 3, sort of coming into the mid-race. LMC Josh had a couple of incidents and threw in a towel. Owen Wyatt crashed at the top of the hill. Same place for Ginger Andy. 20 Boy retired a few laps ago. Rinky Marie was running in a safe 3rd place and retired in the very fast left-right section just a few laps ago. And hopefully now then, as we're watching our race leader hopefully negotiate lap 25 instant free to start his final lap. So I'll open it up to the comments then. Anyone, if they want to put up their opinions. Driver of the day. There's not to choose from, granted. And if you want to maybe vote for a driver of the day that has retired, maybe Rinky Marie was looking quite strong for it as well. I will accept that. But obviously try to go for ones that are still running. Yeah, it's a difficult one to choose. I think Bookster's had a very quiet but solid race in 3rd. Tough to handle will hold on to his championship lead. Liam Robbo has done well with a badly damaged front wing to hold on to 7th place ahead of Matthew. But to be honest, my driver of the day had to go for Lego. No one can absolutely touch him tonight. LMC Josh, oh, and Lego there, just clipping the outside wall coming out of turn 1, damaging his end plate. You won't want to do that too many times. It will be absolute scenes here if our race leader, who's dominated tonight's proceedings, crashes on the final lap. So he just needs to calm down and bring it home. Konzo finally leaves the session. EVR Matt then now starting to close up on Wazzy. Both drivers have done 18 laps on the soft tyres, as has Bookster and Tough to Handle in 3rd and 2nd place. So this will be a battle to come back to. It could very well come down to the run to the line. It's famous here at Baku. We've seen it before in ILR. We've seen it before in eSports recently. I've seen it as well when I've been part of league races where positions, podiums and even race wins, I'm talking about eSports here a few weeks ago, does happen at Baku. If you pick up the slipstream from the car ahead of you just enough to get the DRS as well, you can slingshot past. We've seen it in real F1 as well when I believe Bottas picked Stroll to 2nd place last season. So it happens in real life and it certainly happens on the game as well. But one thing we can be sure of, and he's just got about 20 seconds to go, is the utter dominant display by our reserve driver, one of 3 reserve drivers in ILR3 this season, and the one that gets called upon most over than everyone else is Lego. Questions have been raised about his racecraft. Questions have been raised about maybe he's too competitive for ILR3, and certainly on the basis of tonight's performance you can say that maybe it's time to him to move up another tier. But a dominating display by the McLaren driver picks up the race win and the 25 points. Our championship leader, Tough to Handle, then will come home in a distant but I think relieved 2nd place, just moving left to right across the line there, picks up the 18 points and retains the championship lead. Bookster then will claim the final podium spot in 3rd. I don't think there's been many penalties out there, but this is it. Wazzy and EVR Matt. Will EVR Matt do him on the line? I think he will. DRS, he's managed to get past, and EVR Matt, I said it could happen, pips Wazzy to 4th place with the assistance of both Slipstream and DRS. Wazzy down into 5th. Nigel, a quiet race from the Mercedes driver, claims 6th place And now we await Liam Robbo in that battered Toro Rosso, who clips the wall again. Bit more damage coming off that front wing as well, but he will be relieved to get that car home to pick up 6 points for 7th place. It almost looked like he was coming into the pits there, but you don't want to be doing that. Over the line in 7th place. We wait for EFC Matthew as well, who's outbroken himself more times than he dares to remember. And our final classified finisher will come over the line eventually. What are you doing? Please finish. Please finish. He finishes. 8th place. 8 drivers finish at the 20 that started. Possibly a new record in ILR3. I'm not too sure. But congratulations to Lego, Tough to Handle and Boogster, who claim the podium positions. So I think all 3 drivers will be happy that they've relatively stayed out of trouble. Tough to Handle holds on to the championship lead. This will now promote Lego, I believe, all the way up into 2nd place. And Boogster carries on his fine form of the season as well with 3rd. McLaren, Williams and Ferrari complete the podium. So there we go then. Yep, everyone kept it relatively clean apart from Owen, who had a penalty, but he failed to finish anyway. So 2 stops for Lego then, and he wins the race by almost 18 seconds over the Williams of Tough to Handle. Boogster in 3rd. EVR Matt then by just over a 10th of a second pips Wazzy to the line to claim 4th place, pushing the Alfa Romeo Sauber driver down into 5th. Nigel gets the car home in 6th place on the 2-stop strategy. Liam Robbo managed as well in 7th. EFC Matthew, our final classified driver, in 8th. And then we lost Rinky Marie, 20 Boy, Ginger Andy, Owen White, LMC Josh, Conzo, McGee Showman, Paul McGuinness, The Joker, LMC Vettel, Luke and Flexi. 12 of the 20 drivers crashed out. So then stick around if you want, and I'll get the top 3 drivers in for the obligatory podium interviews. So we're just going to wait 5 or 10 seconds. Tough to Handle and Lego have joined the podium interviews. Just waiting to see if LMC Boogster is going to join as well. If he doesn't in the next few seconds, we'll just start without him. Well, I'm not going to hang around all night. I don't want to keep everyone watching the stream from waiting. I don't want to keep you guys waiting either. If he does join in halfway through, then fair enough. So then, guys, I know I've spoken to you both before, and I think your settings are okay, but if you can just double check your party settings to make sure you've allowed your voice to be shared. I don't want any embarrassing silences when I'm waiting for an answer. So then, Lego, we'll come to you first then. First of all, congratulations on what is pretty much an utterly dominating display. Not the first time this season you've shown your pace, and you've already had a podium this season at Bahrain. You led at Australia as well. Probably disappointed to not be in the China race, but you backed it up with the race win here tonight as well. Second place on the grid behind LMC Josh, and then he pitted early and then unfortunately had a litany of issues and finally retired. The first question I want to ask you then, the two-stop strategy, going from the ultras to the softs to the supers, was that sort of planned, or were the soft tyres burning up at a quicker rate for you, or was it a case of, as I mentioned on stream, maybe you was just a bit bored leading and wanted the opportunity to maybe overtake Tough to Handle again to reclaim the lead?
Yeah, there's a little bit of the original strategy was to go ultras soft, so I was very surprised that Josh pitted early, considering he had the pace early on. And he actually pulled a gap very early as well, so I was a bit surprised that he pitted as early as he did. And unfortunately, it sort of killed the race off, as you said. I had a couple of incidents. Obviously, I don't know what he got into, but yeah, unfortunately, I sort of killed the race off. And then as I was on the soft tyres, I actually hit the castle section pretty bad. So I thought, just to be safe, put on another set of tyres, and just ended up, cruising home. Really, not much else to say.
Yeah, it's difficult to really pick out highlights for you in that race because you held on to second place behind Josh. You were evenly matched on pace. He pitted very early, which I was surprised at. You stayed out a few laps later. We took the lead after Josh had an incident after his pit stop and then didn't really look back. Is it difficult to... Because I've commentated on races you've done before where you've won in situations like this where you've just been so much quicker than everyone else. First of all, two-part question. First of all, were you surprised at how dominating your race pace was compared to the other guys behind you? I know quite a few other drivers did fall out the race. And secondly, you said in, I believe, one of the Twitter chats as well, you came on and saying setup, question mark. Was that sort of a joke? Did you really not have a setup going into this race and just bolted on something you felt right? Or did you know, possibly having driven around it already on this game, that you knew what you was doing and you knew what your pace would be like around here?
I've done a few laps on time trial about a month ago, I believe, and then I had a league race Monday night. And other than that, which considering I raced in that race with a setup that was rubbish as well, which is why I was asking before the race, because I didn't want to go in with a time trial setup, which is what I ended up using in the end, a couple of tweaks here and there, and it ended up working pretty well. I mean, I think it was about 8/10 faster than I was in my Monday race, so. Yeah, definitely improvement, but yeah, as you say, it was a bit. I was a bit taken back by the gap that I did have in the end, and it's naturally nicer to have a battle, especially around a track like this where there is a lot of overtaking opportunities, and it does get quite strategic in the end. It's rather than being able to just race faster than somebody because you've got two massive straights, and if you can stay within a second of somebody and just keep closing up, then yeah. But unfortunately, yeah, like you said, it just ended up pulling away in the end. But no, not much practice really, and no, it was completely legit. I was asking for a setup.
Well, I'm sure the rest of the ILR3 drivers are going to be a bit worried when you come into the race with no real idea about what setup you're going to do, and then you end up dominating. I think majority of that race, I know you and Tough to Handle on different tyres, but at some points you were almost 2 seconds a lap quicker, and very consistent with that 2 seconds a lap quicker as well. A question I'll ask you again. I asked you this, I believe, at Bahrain. Obviously, being a reserve driver in ILR3, you were disappointed to not get one of the spots for the Chinese race. But apart from that, you've appeared in all three, crashed out in Australia after being very competitive at the front, podium at Bahrain, race win here as well. Obviously points that the reserve drivers pick up, they don't count for the team, but they do count for themselves, and off the top of my head you're now right up there. I think only a handful of points behind Tough to Handle, even with his second place tonight as well. Obviously, if you could get a full-time drive in ILR3, you'd be happy with that. But do you think possibly, and this could be a bit, what's the word I'm looking for here, controversial, do you think that maybe your pace is good enough for maybe ILR2 or even ILR1? Because as a reserve driver in ILR3, you're leaving a lot of these drivers behind race in, race out.
You have to ask the league directors on that one.
I think that's probably the safest answer that Lego can give. He didn't want to get himself in trouble. I tried to get a bit of spice involved, but there we go. But anyway, Lego, fantastic performance tonight. Congratulations on the race win and the 25 points. And no doubt we'll be able to speak to you again as the season goes on.
Thank you, and congrats to the other guys on the podium.
Yes, indeed. 26 laps around Baku is certainly not for the faint-hearted to survive. So we'll come to our second place driver, tough to handle. Probably a bit disappointed to be off the pace of Lego, but ultimately you retain your lead in the Drivers' Championship. You're on the podium with 18 points and you kept it relatively clean. So to be honest with you, I don't think you're overly disappointed with how the result would have gone. And probably if I'd offered you second place at the beginning of this race, you'd have happily took it.
Well, definitely yes. First of all, congratulations to Lego on his win. Yes, his pace was fast, but for some reason my setup was on default, and I wasn't pushing that much. Though I loaded the setup that I have, but I was struggling with the rear temps, and they were overheating all the race long. So I was taking it a bit careful and not pushing too much. That's why. Lego was bored in front, and I was bored actually in second place. I didn't have any action going on in the race, so I just took it easy, knowing that LMC Josh was untouchable today, and Lego also was super fast. So third place, even with third place, would be okay for me. So yeah, that's how it goes today. And actually, Baku is not my favorite track. You're praying every time you go through that castle corners. You're praying that please don't touch the wall. Please don't touch the wall, because a bit of touch and you've lost your ring or you've lost your wheel. So yeah, I'm happy with what I did today. It's a long season. It's just the fourth race. A good haul of points. Give me like a breathing space for the guys behind me. Anything can happen. So. Second place, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, just going to about you were saying there about, any time you go into the castle section, you're sort of holding your breath and hoping not to have an accident. Is it difficult to keep concentration? Because a lot of your race, we didn't see a lot of you because there was nothing to look at, really. You was on your own, in second place for the majority of the race. Is it difficult to keep the concentration in? Because one momentary lapse in concentration and you're in the wall, especially at a circuit like this. We saw a few drivers, your teammate, for example, crashed at turn 3, a few drivers crashed at the top of the hill as well, and it's probably just one little mistake that ended their race. Was there any periods where you were sort of outbroke yourself, or you brushed the wall a little bit, or was it just a case of because the position you was in and the fact that you wasn't battling anyone, it was easy to just remain focused, pick your braking points, stick to the racing line, and just keep plugging away at the laps?
Well, if you're alone and you're bored, yes, the margin of mistakes grow. So having action or having cars in front of or behind will give you some sort of concentration just to focus on the car in front or car behind, just not to do a mistake and keep things and hitting the apexes and stuff like that. But as I mentioned, I was on default setup. I was struggling with a lot of understeer. The car was not turning in correctly. So going to that castle chicane, if the car doesn't turn in the way you want, you will end up in the wall. So yeah, I was doing lots of lifting in that sector. Actually, I was going lean mix, though I finished the race with +1 of lap of fuel, and half of my batteries were charged. So it was a race to finish. Actually, whatever points come, I'll take it. Second place, I'm super happy. Bring on Spain.
Yeah, just one final question for me then. How are you feeling towards Spain? Is it a track you're looking forward to? And another quick question as well. Leading the championship after 4 races, I know you said it's early, but are you surprised to be leading the championship? Do you think that some of the quicker guys have just been having instants and eventually they will start to catch up with you? Or did you come into this season thinking, I've got a good chance of winning the title this season? Because you won the first race and you're on the podium here as well. So far, it's going very well.
Well, in this game, consistency is 90% of the thing. So if LMC Josh was super fast, but for some reason he had issues and he crashed. I'm not sure. I need to watch the race again. But he was fast, but he didn't finish. So to finish first, you have to finish. That's my motto in league racing. So I take it easy, focus on what I'm doing, and bring it home. And so far, I'm doing that. Actually, that's the best start for me in league racing for years. getting like around now 63 points, I guess, in the first 4 races. Wow, that's super. So that's encouraging, giving me momentum for the races to come. So I'm even stronger in the European races, in Spain, Hungary, Monaco. I'm very good. I like street circuits, but this one I hate. I'm not surprised to be leading. I know I have the pace to be up in front, but I've got some challenges in front, and I had challenges in the races there before, and you actually in China you saw that yourself. So let's see how it goes. Still long season, anything can happen.
Indeed, we've still got 17 races to go, and the way it's been going so far this season, half the field have got a realistic chance of winning races and challenging for the title. But anyway, congratulations, second place. You survived whilst many didn't. You retain and extend your lead at the top of the championship. So I think, as you said, delighted with the second place. Congratulations, and thank you for joining me for the interview.
Thank you. You're doing a super job.
Thank you very much. Comments and appreciation is always welcome towards me. I try my very best. And to finish first you have to finish. Taken right out of Ron Dennis's scrapbook there. So congratulations on the second place. And therefore, that brings the podium interviews to a close. I don't think NMC Bookster joined, which is a shame. I'm sure that for whatever reason is a legitimate one. But thank you very much for watching the stream. Anyway, next week then at 8 o'clock, we both have, of course, the ILR3 and ILR4 streams running at the same time as we do on every Thursday night. And it'll be around 5 at the fantastic Catalunya circuit just outside Barcelona in Spain, where hopefully some of these drivers can survive, not crashing into a wall, and we can have more than about 11 or 12 finishes. My name has been Alex Lilliart. Thank you very much for joining me for the stream, and also all the comments as well. Some of them have been very hilarious to read out, and I do enjoy doing it, so thank you very much for that. Congratulations then to Lego on the race win. Tough to handle on second place, and Bookster, who we didn't get an opportunity to talk to, finishing third for Ferrari. So thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you all at 8 o'clock next Thursday.